Welcome, everyone. My name is Sadaf Munshi. I'm a professor of linguistics at the University of North Texas. I'm going to give you a very quick overview of our department and our master's program. All right, so here's a quick overview of our program. We have a Master of Science in Linguistics at the University of North Texas. The program, it's a 2-year program with different concentrations. You can have a general Master of Science in Linguistics, or you can do a concentration in one of the concentration areas. We have 3 main concentrations. One of them is called computational linguistics. The second one is language documentation. And the third one is English as a second language. So each of these has some specific courses that we offer in each of these sub areas. I'm going to, I can click on any of these and you can take a look at them. For example, we have a concentration in computational linguistics. This is there's a certificate program with it, which you can do a graduate certificate with about 4 courses, which is a total of 12 hours. Some of the courses that we offer in this concentration are computational linguistics, natural language processing, etc. There's a brief intro on the page if you want to look at it. The computational linguistics is a rapidly growing field in the high-tech sectors, and it's critical for development of such technologies as voice-enabled smartphones, home assistants, etc. It's really a technology related field, very scientific. And the certificate is specifically intended to address a growing need for language processing skills, particularly those associated with the rapid growth of artificial intelligence, cognitive technologies, etc. So I will, here's the more information about it. The general Masters in Linguistics is a 36-hour program. So each of the concentrations is covered in those 36 hours. For this particular concentration, we have 12 hours of core courses and 24 hours of foundation courses. Then we have the other 2 concentrations with a similar kind of setup. For example, language documentation. This particular concentration, in this particular concentration, we talk about endangered languages. So in language documentation, we mostly focus on endangered and dying languages or languages which are under-resourced. We teach students tools and methods in language documentation. And also language preservation and archiving, etc. It has a similar number of foundation courses as I just mentioned in computational linguistics. And then we also have another concentration in ESL, or English as a second language. Again, a certain number of courses that are specific to this concentration. So it will be about 12 hours, and we have a certificate in this one as well. I wanted to mention that if you are interested in our program, we do have some funding opportunities as well. So if you want to know more about it, go to students and go to prospective students. You will have a lot of information there about admissions, admission process, about financial aid and scholarships, what kind of funding is available. Um, for example, many of our graduate students, they apply for financial aid, and many of them get teaching assistantships, which are regularly available. We also have some other opportunities of financial aid. For example, we have scholarship. Sometimes faculty have grants where they can hire students as research assistants. So many of our students have been funded through grants as well, our graduate students. Through, for example, National Science Foundation grants and other grants. So those are the opportunities. Teaching assistantships are through the university, but these are competitive, of course. And regarding admissions, most all the admission criteria are mentioned on the website, but normally you will be asked to there's an application process through the university, and then you have to have some of the additional materials. For example, you will have to write a personal statement and get some letters of recommendation. Um, and yeah, so that's that. We have a very strong faculty. Most of our faculty are doing amazing projects. So you have, I'm going to introduce to the faculty as well a little bit. We have faculty in different areas. This is our department chair, Dr. Will Salmon. Katie Crater is a principal lecturer. She teaches mostly undergraduate courses. Patricia Sukur-Avila specializes in sociolinguistics, language variation and change, gender, language and gender. And then Dr. Hartman is a computational linguist. We have Dr. Capitanciani. She teaches both graduate and undergraduate courses. Then I teach both undergraduate and graduate courses. I specialize on language documentation, historical linguistics, language contact, etc. Then we have Dr. Roars. He mostly focuses on Germanic languages. He's a syntactician. Then we have Sean Zhang. He is an associate professor who specializes on ESL and second language acquisition. So if you have any specific questions regarding any of the concentrations, you can definitely email the faculty in those particular areas. Yeah, and I'm happy to answer any questions. If you have any specific questions, I will be happy to answer those.
Dr. Munshi?
Regarding our program, yes.
Perhaps this is a good opportunity, since we're on the topics of research. Do you mind just sharing with our audience a little bit about your background and your current research and actually
Yeah,
where you are now?
yes. So I am currently in India, actually. So I work on uh, endangered languages. Two of them are, I've been working on a language called Burushaski, which is a linguistic isolate spoken both in India and Pakistan. There are some speakers of this language in India, about 350 speakers. And then there's also speakers of this language are in Pakistan. I've been working with these speakers of Brushasky for almost since 2002, 2003. And then I've also been working on another highly endangered language called Mankyali, which has only 500 speakers. It's been a brand new project in terms of documentation. There are no documentation materials about this language um, prior to the project that I have been we started in 2018. So this project and the other project, both of these projects were funded by the National Science Foundation. Many of my students worked with me on these projects alongside native speakers of some of these languages. So that is my documentation work. And another thing that we've been doing with one of my senior previous colleagues, who's my former colleagues, Dr. Shobna Chalaya, she founded what we called a CORSAL, computational resources for South Asian languages, where we work on language collections. It's kind of a repository of many digital resources on different South Asian languages, primarily those languages that are endangered, under resources, underdocumented, or undocumented. Um, Mostly archiving and preservation work, but the data that are part of these collections will be used for many different things, can be used for a lot of different things in future.
Dr.
So
Munshi,
any other
Dr.
things that,
I'm
yeah.
sorry, Dr. Munshi, could I add to your discussion? For those that are not familiar with documenting a language, do you mind just describing it briefly on how do you
Yes,
document the
yes, thank
tools
you.
and techniques?
So documentation, language documentation is an area of linguistics where we work on languages which do not typically have written resources or written. They're mostly spoken languages, orally preserved languages, and passed on from generation to generation through oral literature or just speaking. So what we do in language documentation is we go and work with the native speakers of these languages. We record their speech, their natural speech, or any other linguistic resources. Like we ask them to tell us a story or talk about their language or talk about different aspects of their life, their culture, anything that is relevant, culturally, linguistically relevant. We record them, and we then, after recording either audio or video recordings, we analyze those. We have someone in the waiting room. We analyze those, we transcribe those language samples, we translate them, we analyze them into pieces. For example, if we have a story, we will first transcribe it, and then we will translate each sentence, then we will piece each sentence into phrases, and each phrase into words and morphemes. And this kind of work can lead to dictionaries, grammatical descriptions, etc. That's one of the products. But we can also create text collections for people who are interested in learning the language. This can also be a resource for a lot of cultural information about the language, stories, legends, a lot of important materials. For example, proverbial expressions, recipes, so many things that are a part and parcel of their life, everyday life, or their history and culture. The interaction between different linguists across these subdisciplines. For example, documentary linguists work with computational linguists to on how we can use these databases for different purposes. For example, one of the projects that we've recently been, some of the linguists have been working, documentary linguists have been working with computational linguists, is creating materials which can be then used for like speech and I don't know, maybe creating materials for language learning and other things, or maybe dictionaries and so many other things. The I don't know, a lot of data that we eventually create can be used for um, um, can be used for translation and other things. Like you need databases for many computationally driven uses of language or language data.